Afternoon adventures! I've been thinking a lot about Battlemaster maneuvers, specifically the ones that don't require weapon attacks. I've been thinking about that in the context of spellcasters and also just other characters who maybe don't want to make martial combat attacks all the time. So, that said, I compiled a list of those maneuvers. So, without further ado, let's see what we got. We can start the list with Ambush, being able to add our superiority die to an initiative or stealth roll. Initiative should be obvious, especially if you're the kind of caster who casts battlefield control spells, debuffs on your enemies, or buffs on your allies. And a lot of casters maybe don't have the very best dexterity, so being able to bolster those stealth rolls is also quite good. Commanding Presence and Tactical Assessment fall under the same vein. Commanding Presence adding to Persuasion, Performance, and Intimidation, of course, and Tactical Assessment adding to Investigation, History, and Insight. Both wonderful ways to bolster those skills, especially if you maybe aren't Intelligence or Charisma based, if you're a Wisdom caster, or if you just want to have really high rolls in those things. Moving right along, we've got Fainting Attack. This uses your bonus action. You designate a creature within 5 feet of you, which, granted, 5 feet of you is pretty close when you're a caster. But you get to pick that creature, and your next attack roll against that creature has advantage. That is not limited to weapons, so something like Shocking Grasp, or Inflict Wounds, or even Vampiric Touch. You get advantage on your attack, and you get to add the superiority die to the damage, which means that for Vampiric Touch you get some extra health back as well. Though it's important to note that if you want to keep gaining that benefit round after round with something like Vampiric Touch or Flame Blade, you would have to use the bonus action and spend the superiority die every turn. As a reaction, you can parry, which reduces your incoming damage, and that's always good when you're a squishy caster type. You do not have to have a weapon in hand for this. You can bat aside somebody's blade with your bare hand, which is always very cool. And next we have Rally, giving temporary hit points to your allies. Self-explanatory, but always a good thing to have on hand, especially if you're about to take a short rest. You can just toss the last few superiority dice out to whoever might happen to need them. There is also the Bait and Switch maneuver that allows you to swap places with an ally and give one of you extra armor class. If you give yourself armor class, this can stack with the shield spell. That's actually true if the other person casts shield as well, but you know what I mean. And stacking armor class is never going to be a bad thing, especially if you find yourself in a hairy situation. Next on the list, we've got Commander's Strike. This is an interesting one. It uses one of the attacks with your attack action, which, as a spellcaster, you may very well not have extra attacks. That would be your whole action, and your bonus action to allow an ally to attack. Very situational, and going to depend very much on whether you have something like a rogue or a paladin who can make one attack to do a ton of damage all at once. And it's gonna be up to you whether that's worth your entire turn, basically. You can still move, but both your actions. Evasive Footwork, much like Bait and Switch, adds to your AC and can stack with other sources as well, like Shield. So again, if you find yourself in an unfortunate circumstance where maybe there are enemies nearby and you want to protect yourself from them, it's not a bad idea. And for these last few, I wanted to mention them anyway because they don't necessarily require you to be acting in a martial sort of frontliner manner, but they do require a weapon, or at least require some strength or dexterity to use. Let's dive right in. Grappling Strike allows you to grapple as a bonus action after attacking a creature. That doesn't specify weapon attacks, so you can grapple as a bonus action and add your superiority die to the athletics roll. The other thing is, I'm not sure grappling an enemy as a spellcaster dedicated, usually sort of ranged type combatant is going to be a great idea, but hey, if you want to do it, the option's there. Brace and Riposte, or Riposte, I've never been totally sure, have the requirement that you have to have a weapon in hand, and they use your reaction, but being able to do damage with your reaction is something a lot of spellcasters can't do a whole lot unless you're a warlock with Hellish Rebuke or some magic like that. So, damaging an enemy when they approach you or when they miss you with a melee attack might not be a bad idea, but again, you do have to have a weapon in your hand. That said, a staff counts as a weapon, and a rod counts as a weapon, as a club, so those are options, but they would use your strength unless you have levels in Battlesmith Artificer or Hexblade Warlock and can attack with a different ability score. And lastly, one of my overall favorite maneuvers, Quick Toss. I have this on a number of my characters already, and it's so great to be able to throw out a thrown weapon as a bonus action, get some extra damage in regardless of what you're doing with your action. I love that it doesn't have any prerequisites, action economy wise, and you even get to draw the weapon as part of that bonus action, so you don't have to have it ready to go in hand. Which, as a spellcaster, a lot of spellcasters, especially at lower levels, don't have a lot to do with their bonus action unless you have a spell like Flaming Sphere. Again, it does require that strength or dexterity score, unless you have one of those other features, blah blah blah. But if you can get that attack out with a reliable chance to hit, it is not a bad way to add some damage to your turn. So anyway, that is 13 of the Battlemaster maneuvers that I think would suit well a spellcaster or other sort of less martial character. Is it worth 3 levels of fighter? I don't know, that's up to you. You also do get a fighting style, which can be used to get more maneuvers and superiority dice. And you do also get action search, which is supremely powerful on a spellcaster. It's ridiculous. S tier for sure. So, take that as you will. I'm rambling at this point. I should really just say, like and subscribe if the video helps. If you learned anything useful, let me know in the comments. Love to hear it. And until next time, happy gaming.